Hello everyone, this is Carla and welcome back to the studio and thank you for joining me for another episode of Throwback Thursday. So for this Thursday, I will be featuring the Count My Blessings stamp set. Now this is a stamp set that you can pretty much use year round. I believe this was in our 2017 holiday mini catalog. What I like about this stamp set, you do have you have a floral image and some other flowers and leaves, and then you also have this cluster with the two acorns and the leaves as well. So you can color this where this could be, say for summer or even spring, and it can also be used for fall as well. What I really also like about this set are the fonts that they used and the greetings in it. So you have thinking of you, and when I count my blessings, you are on the top of my list. So we'll be using these images. We'll be using these two greetings. So let me bring in the pieces for our first card and let's get started. So for my first card, let me pull out all the little bits and pieces that I have for this one. So this one's a fairly simple card. So I have a piece of very vanilla thick. This measures 8.5 by 5.5, and I've scored it at 4.25. I have a piece of Cajun Craze that measures 4.5 by 3.25, and then I have a piece of Very Vanilla that measures 4.25 by 3. Now, one of the things I did not do before I started was pull out the stamps that I'll be using. So I'm going to be using these two stamps right here. Let me bring in my box. Now I don't have the labels on these because this stamp set had the I believe it was the stickers on here were the ones that over time they would lose their stickiness and then they would fall off the block. So I didn't put my stickers on this. So I am going to take my greeting and I'm going to line this up on my block to where the bottom of it looks like it's straight to the bottom edge of my block. Let me just make sure I got this on here straight. Okay, that kind of looks good. And then I have my other image with the flowers on it. I'll put that on there. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to start off with a little bit of stamping. We will be doing some coloring on this as well. I'll be using my blends on this one. So let me bring in a piece of scrap paper because I will be stamping off of this piece of cardstock. Now the colors of ink that I'm going to use for this will be Cajun Craze and Early Espresso. So I'm going to take my greeting and I'm going to ink that up in Cajun Craze. Ink that up really well. Okay, and then I'm going to stamp this up near the top of my cardstock and centered. And hopefully we got it straight. Okay. See that it looks straight? Yep. And because there's an uneven ink on that ink pad, you can see that there is some variegation, which I think that's kind of cool. So I'm going to leave it at that. And then I'm going to bring in my Early Espresso. And then I'm going to ink up these flowers. And I'm going to stamp one over here in this corner. And then I'm going to ink it up again. And I'll stamp it over in this corner as well. Okay. I'll close this up. Okay, and I'll move these aside. And then I'll put that there. Well, I'm going to color that, so I'm going to leave that paper. So in the meantime, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my card base and I'm going to fold and burnish that. And I'll set that aside. And this piece of Cajun Craze, I will adhere this piece onto here after I have colored this. Now for this, I'm going to do some simple coloring with my Stampin' Blends. And for this, to just two colors, I'm going to use my light and dark pumpkin pie and my dark and light old olive. So I'm going to color these flowers in, and I will be right back. Okay, so let me bring in my pieces for this. I'm going to take my seal and I'm going to add some to the back of this piece of Very Vanilla. And I'm going to adhere that to my piece of Cajun Craze. Cajun Craze, I feel, is one of those really cool colors that is perfect for doing any cards that are of a fall themed. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take a little bit of seal and just add it right here on the back of this piece. And I'm going to bring in my, what's this? This is the Black and Very Vanilla large checked ribbon. So I don't need a very big piece of this at all. I just need just a little one. I'll cut that. And I'll put that aside. And then I'm going to fold this in half, like so. And then I'm going to stick this right here. I just want a little bit sticking out the side here. Now to hold that down, I want to bring in my dimensionals. Let's fold that over. And then I'm going to place one right here and another one on this side just to hold it down. Okay, and then I'll add a few more. We'll add one more. There we go. Make sure these are all down, and then I'll remove these paper backings. Okay, and then I'll bring in my card base, and I will center this like so. Okay, and then I'm going to bring in my clear Wink of Stella, and I'm going to add some onto these flowers. And put this one over here. Okay, and then for my embellishments on this, I am going to use the Neutrals Adhesive Back Sequins. These are currently in our annual catalog, along with the ribbon that I use. This is also in there as well. So for this one, I'm going to use these copper colored sequins. So I'm going to bring in my Take Your Pick tool, and I'm going to add a large and two small ones just randomly here on my panel that I have stamped on. So there is our first card. I think that just speaks fall. When I count my blessings, you are on the top of my list. So now on to our second card. Okay, so for my second card, I have another piece of very vanilla thick, measuring 8.5 by 5.5, and I've scored it at 4 1/4. I have a piece of DSP. Now this DSP is from the Country Woods. This is a DSP that is actually currently available in our current annual catalog. And this is just really fun paper. It's got a whole lot of like distressed painted wood images on it. So it's a really fun paper to work with. So this one, again, this one's just going to scream fall. So this piece of DSP, this measures 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. And then I have a piece of early espresso that measures 5 3/8 by 2 3/8. A piece of crushed curry. This is 5 3/8 by 2. A piece of very vanilla, 5 3/8 by 1 3/4. And then I have a couple of scraps of very vanilla and early espresso. So for this, I'm going to start off with folding and burnishing my card base. Now I'm going to be doing some coloring on this card as well, but instead of using my blends, I'm going to use Stampin' Right markers. Now the Stampin' Right markers, they are a water-based marker, so you could use those not only for coloring, but if you wanted to have different colors on your stamp, you can use the markers on that as well. Now you do not ever want to use the alcohol markers or Stampin' blends. You would never want to color your stamps with these because they won't come off, okay? So I'm going to take my DSP. I'm going to add some adhesive to the back of this. And I'm going to put this on my card base. And there's just going to be a little tiny border of the card base showing. Okay. And then I'm going to take this piece here and my early espresso ink. And I am going to stamp the greeting that says, "Thinking of you." And I'm going to stamp that over on this side of my very vanilla. Okay. Close. Well, no, we're going to need that. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to take my crushed curry and I'm going to adhere this to this piece of early espresso. And I want to center it from the top and bottom. Okay. And then I'm going to take this piece of very vanilla and I'm going to place that in the middle as well. Okay, so then we have all of these layers here. And then what I want to do, I'm going to take this, add some adhesive to the back, bring in my card base, and I'm going to add this kind of like to the center of my card. And it's going to line up with the edges of that DSP. It's looking a little crooked, but it's just an interest in there. It just makes it look a little bit different. Okay, so then I am going to take the image that has the leaves and the acorns on it, and I am going to stamp this right in the center of my bigger scrap of Very Vanilla. Okay, and then I'm going to ink it up again, and I'm going to stamp it on this piece. Okay. Close that up. We're done with our stamping. Now what I'm going to do with this bigger piece, I have 2 circle punches. So I have the 2 3/8 circle punch. This is still available in our annual catalog. And I'm going to punch out an early espresso circle. And then with my 2 1/4 inch punch, now this one is retired, I am going to punch out this cluster of the acorns and the leaves. So I'm going to be coloring basically both of these. So let me explain this part that I'm going to do, because this is the part that I'm going to speed up. So I have my Stampin' Right markers. Now, you're not able to purchase these colors individually. They are part of a color collection. Now, the only marker that we sell separately is the basic black one. But just so I have it in the description. So this color is copper clay. This is part of the 2023 to 2025 in colors. I have pumpkin pie. This is part of the brights. Pecan pie, which is part of neutrals. And then crushed curry and old olive. Both of these are in the Regals collection. So I'm going to use these. I'm going to color in this whole image. And then for this one, I am going to color in this large leaf. And then I'm going to color in these 2 acorns here. So with that, I will be right back. Okay, so I'm back. I can't believe I forgot to make mention that after I colored these images in, that out of that scrap piece, I was fussy cutting these 3 pieces as well. What I'm going to do with these pieces, I'm going to bring in my dimensionals. So I have my sheet of my larger ones and my mini ones, and I am going to adhere these acorns over these two, and then this individual leaf I'm going to lay right over the top. So let me get one of my larger ones, and we'll stick that on there, and then I'll line that up right over the one I stamped and colored. And then where's my mini one? There it is. And then I'll bring in a little mini dimensional, put that on there. And I'll stick this one right over this one. Just adding a little bit of dimension to this. Now, one of the things I'm going to do before, I'm going to take this and I'm going to add a dimensional onto the back of this. Now, before I put this down, what I want to do is take my Wink of Stella and I want to put it on all of these pieces before I adhere this on top of it. The Wink of Stella will not only add some sparkle to it, and it looks like I gotta clean this. It looks like there's a little bit of ink on here. So let me just wipe that off. And then I'm gonna come over the leaves. Now when I do this, it not only adds the sparkle to it, but then it also makes the colors from the markers look a little bit more vibrant as well. And it does the same thing when I use my blends. Now, because this is a dye-based ink, you don't want to go over it too much because you are going to pull up some of the color. So now I'm going to go over these acorns. Okay, and then this leaf, I want to place this right over the top, like so. And then I'm going to add some on this leaf. Now with the Stampin' Right markers, the difference with these as opposed to the alcohol markers blend a little bit better together, whereas you may see some of the marker lines by using let me make sure I put this in right. I want it upside down so that way my Wink of Stella stays near the brush. It kind of gives it almost like this watercolory type of feel. So I decided to go with the Stampin' Right markers rather than my my blend. So for this, since I got all this layered up now, I'm going to take my liquid glue. Now this is the Tombow multi-purpose glue that we sell. I just have it in one of these little bottles. Now there is a latex in the glue, so you don't need much, so that's why I put it in that fine tip glue bottle. Okay, so now I'm going to adhere this to my early espresso circle, and then I'm done with the glue. So let me close this up, and then I'm going to add some dimensionals to the back of this. Okay. All right, and then let me bring in my card, and I'm going to add this right here. And then I'm going to bring in my glue dots. Now this sheet of glue dots comes from an old paper pumpkin kit, and I'm going to add that right here on top of that stem. Remove that paper backing. And then I'm going to bring in my linen thread. And I'm going to create a double-stranded bow. Cut this here. So I do have scissors, one for cutting paper and then one for cutting like ribbon and twine. Create my bow. Okay, and then I don't need my loops to be really big. Okay, and then I'm going to trim this. Okay, and then I'm going to take this and I'm going to adhere this right here. I just love that rustic feel that linen thread gives to it. Now I'm going to bring in these sequins again, and this time I'm going to use the gold ones. And then we'll take the last one and we'll add that right up here. Okay, so there is my second card. Really pretty, very fall looking. And let me bring in my first card. So there's our first one. So if you like the projects that I have made for this episode of Throwback Thursday, please give the video a thumbs up. And if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the channel. It not only helps me in growing my channel, but it also helps me in growing my Stampin' Up! Business. Now, I do want to make mention that tomorrow, my Friday Night Live, I usually go live at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And lately, there's been a problem. There's some kind of problem going on with YouTube. There's another demo that actually a couple of demos that were experiencing the same issue that I was. That, in advance, you set up your lives and you schedule it. So all you have to do is just hit the button and go live. And in the beginning, when you set it up, that's where you set up the orientation. So it defaults to vertical, but for the best experience in watching this, it should be at horizontal. And I've set it at horizontal, and I had 2 Fridays back to back in which it reverted it to vertical, which meant I had to stop that one and recreate another one. So typically now lately I've been going a little bit earlier on starting, just so that way I can see, is it going to mess up, and do I have to quickly go and create another one and then add all the info. Now, I do want to make mention though for this Friday. So this is Thursday, and this has been pre-recorded earlier in the week. So it wasn't until today that I was watching the weather forecast, and they were talking about the tropical depression storm that is down in the Gulf is going to end up turning into Hurricane Francine. And so the path of which this is going, I mean, we're in Memphis, we're not on the coast. However, once this hurricane hits landfall, it's coming straight up, and Memphis is pretty much going to be in the middle of it. So they are saying there's going to be a lot of heavy rain. Now they're talking about Thursday and Friday that we're going to be getting all this rain, but then we're also going to be getting wind. So I don't know what kind of effect that's going to have, if whether or not will our power go out, which I'm kind of hoping it doesn't. But in the event that it does, what I'm going to be doing for this Friday, instead of it being live, it's going to be a kind of live. So I am going to pre-record it ahead of time, and I will have everything set up with it, and then I will have it scheduled to post at 7 p.m. on Friday. So in the event power goes out, you still have the kind of live. For Friday, I am going to be featuring the More Than Autumn bundle. This is a new bundle in our new holiday mini catalog. This is also going to be the bundle that I use the following day on Saturday the 14th, which is my in-person monthly class. So they're saying that come Saturday, it's not going to be raining anymore. I guess the sun's supposed to be out, but then it's still going to be kind of hit and miss as to if I got power or not. So I will, yeah, so those that have RSVP'd for it, I will let you know if, what happens, and let you know if we're still on or not. If you are local to me and you're interested in coming to any of my classes, in the description of this video, I do have my email. You can send me an email and let me know that you're going to attend. Again, it's this coming Saturday. It'll start at 11 a.m. and go till about 3 p.m. Also, if you are interested in knowing what my schedule of videos and the products that I am using on my Thursdays and Fridays, and if there's a holiday, I do have that in my newsletter along with all the info as to what's going on with Stampin' Up and what I'm doing. So if you would like to be on my newsletter list, there is a link in the description as well to where you can click on that, add your name and your email address, and then I will go ahead and I'll send out the most recent newsletter that I sent out on the 4th. So pray that, we have the power doesn't go out and things don't get really, really bad here. I know that they'll get the blunt of it down on the coast. So prayers to all of you. Stay safe, and I will see you in the next one. Everyone have a blessed one. Bye-bye.